Hey guys, Brittany Renew here. I am excited to sit down today with Matt Lettelleir. He is the VP of Advocacy for our awesome St. Pete Chamber. And today we're just going to talk about, some of the issues that are facing our city. And the first thing that I want to talk about is affordable housing, workforce housing. But Matt, thanks so much for being here. I'm excited to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brittany. It's a pleasure to sit down with you today. And just thanks for all your work with our St. Pete Young Professionals and just being a great member of our community and pitching in when it comes to advocacy and everything. So really appreciate this opportunity. Workforce housing, affordable housing. I mean, it's the big topic during the city elections right now. Obviously, we are sitting here on a peninsula, and prices are skyrocketing. You're in real estate. I'm sure you have never seen anything like this, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. Obviously, land is a scarce commodity, and so we have just a lot of people wanting to move to this area, people wanting to get out of apartments and things like that. But it's just, we're gaining about 150 people a day in the Tampa Bay area, and got to find a place for them to live. So, when it comes to housing policy from the government side of things, obviously there's zoning rules and there's land development regulations and, building codes and things like that. But it's kind of cut up into two different areas. You have what is typically considered affordable housing, which is for what's between 80 and 120% of what's called the area median income. And this is a government tool, housing and urban development tool that basically takes what the median income, which in Tampa Bay area is about $50,000 for a single person.
Okay.
And so what is it that they can afford if they make 80% of that? So $40,000 a year, or if they make 120% of that, $60,000 a year. And the rule of thumb is that you want to have housing costs about 30% of someone's income. So again, if you think about it, you got let's say $50,000 and times 0.3, that comes out to $15,000 a year. So divide that by 12 and you're paying $1,250 a month. That's kind of the maximum that someone making $50,000 a year can make. Okay. So people making between $40,000 and $60,000, obviously that's better than minimum wage. That's better than poverty levels. And there's obviously government programs that are specific to making under 80% of AMI. But then there's what we like to call workforce housing. And that's for people that are making, under $100,000 a year, even under $80,000 a year. But the housing carrots that governments seem to give to developers don't exist for that level very often. And so what we're trying to work on is that missing middle workforce for teachers, police officers, first responders, hospitality workers. Many hospitality workers make much more than $60,000 a year, but they are, shift to shift, month to month. And they still have a hard time getting into some of these really expensive apartments that are downtown. So that's really kind of the difference between affordable and workforce housing as, we're working on it here at the Chamber.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that there's, what would you say would be some of those kind of misnomers about all that? I think sometimes people have that stigmatism or negative thoughts around this type of workforce housing and these initiatives by cities.
Yeah, and I think that it's tough to overcome people's prejudices or their thoughts on a certain term that they may have had most of their life or anything like that. So I think it's important to make sure that you are using the right term. If you're wanting to build, say, a duplex or a triplex in a neighborhood, and you want it to be for workforce housing, then use the term workforce. Don't use the term affordable, because that has a connotation in people's minds. Now, if you are going to take advantage of some of these programs and make it affordable, so under that 120% AMI, then that's the right thing to do. But you could have some pushback from neighbors and things like that. So we feel there's a thought that if we build more workforce housing, that frees up some units that are probably more on the affordable range, because you have, let's say, a hospitality worker that's paying $1,200 a month in rent. Maybe they could afford to pay, $1,400 a month, but there just isn't that stock there. You go from 1,200 and you shoot up to like $2,000 a month. So you create that missing middle that frees up that $1,200 unit that maybe someone is underpaying for. And now you've got someone that can go in there that is, making that 120 AMI or lower. And, the more units that open up, obviously the prices go down. I mean, that's just pure economics.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, and you talked about this a little bit in your first kind of intro there, but why is affordable housing such an important initiative for the city of St. Pete and the chamber specifically advocating for it?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, just go out and you can see, especially in the hospitality sector, we are just in such need for hospitality workers. Obviously, with COVID, you had folks leave that industry, that laid off. Some moved out of the area. Some went into real estate. Some did, other jobs. But now we've got the demand because people are back out. They're wanting to go eat. They're wanting to go to bars and restaurants. But operators are not having the ability to fill their staffing needs. So you're seeing, restaurants that are no longer open on Mondays that used to be prior to the pandemic. You're seeing reduced hours. You're seeing reduced menus because they just don't have the cook staff and things like that. So, that's why it's important. We've got to be able to house our workers. And, I think we'll talk about this a little bit later, but we either have to house them in St. Pete, Pinellas County, or we have to create a way for them to get from outside the area to work here. Mm-hmm. There's a major question out there. Obviously, St. Pete is the best place in the world to live, work, and play. But can everyone that wants to work or play here also live here? Mm-hmm. It's a big question. With our limited land, I would venture to say, nope, we're going to end up being too popular to house everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, it's not a perfect world, so we can't necessarily solve that problem for every single person, across the board. But if we can, it being an initiative means that we're going to do our very best to solve that problem for as many people as we can.
We can certainly increase the supply. That's for sure. There are options to increase the supply. Single family housing. I mean, there's a lot of housing stock that's like 60, 70, 80 years old. That's just not great housing stock. There's nothing special about it. It's a 2-1, bungalow home built up that you could easily tear down for minimal cost and build, a duplex or 2 skinny homes or things like that. Not going to ruin the character of the neighborhood, but would be able to have more units per lot per acre. And, that's the only way that we're going to be able to build our way out of the kind of crunch we're in right now.
Well, what would you say so in that same vein, building, so we could build up, obviously we've got condos downtown. I know some people get nervous when they see the development that goes on downtown with these high rises and stuff. People get afraid that we're going to lose the charm of St. Pete. You might think of a city like Miami where it's just like, tall towers as far as you can see. But I mean, I feel like we have a good blending of preserve the burg, preserve character, plus with, building higher because we need that inventory. What are your thoughts about all that?
Yeah, absolutely. But building higher is obviously the way to go. You can get a ton of units on a small area of land. But are those units actually going to be affordable? You've got the land cost. B, you've got construction cost. Anytime you go over 4 stories, you now have to put in elevators. And that's a huge additional expense. Incredibly necessary. Not saying that we shouldn't have to require elevators, but there's a reason that you see a lot of 4-story apartment buildings that don't go to the 5th story because of that. So there's also zoning. I mean, obviously the city council and the administration can, change zoning if that's the will of those bodies. But right now, really that high intensity, real dense zoning is in the downtown core, where the land is the most expensive and the demand is the highest. So, I asked a question a couple of years ago of the city's development director, Alan Delisle. I said, do you think that living downtown should be affordable? And he said, not necessarily. That there's really no way to force affordability into downtown unless it's a city-owned lot. They're willing to take the hit to sell it to a developer, lease developer, what have you, for a much lower cost, with the caveat that they develop something that's affordable. You see them pop up, here and there. There's a Boley Center development that's going on next to 175 and like 6th Street, 5th Street. That's going to be affordable. There's the Portland, which is up on 8th Street and like 3rd Avenue North. So you see kind of these small pop-ups, but you're not going to see something on Beach Drive or on Bayshore that's going to be affordable. That's just not going to happen anymore.
Yeah. That makes sense. So I've seen some of those apartment complexes pop up that have have that workforce housing, those restricted rent tiers of units.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the two, is it Vantage on 16th Street and First Ave,
Yes.
the Trop. Mm-hmm. And so, it seems like we've had some of those types of projects pop up, and I feel like I hear more of those in the works where, at least, it's on the edge of downtown, the edge district in that case, but it's still close enough to where that if that's a hospitality worker that works on beach, they can easily get to their job.
Right. So when you see those types of things pop up, what's happened is the developers bought property or is looking to buy the property, and they've got this plan together of how many units, and then they're like, well, wait a second, can we build more units if we make a certain percentage of them affordable? And then they go to the city and they look for what are called FAR bonuses, floor area ratio. So it's the amount of land that you own, the lot essentially. And then there's a ratio of how much square feet you can build on that lot. So let's say it's a 10,000 square foot lot. You can, if you have a FAR of 3, which is the basis, you can build 30,000 square foot on that 10,000 square foot lot. But then you can also get these bonuses that are, half for making a certain percentage of affordable, another half a FAR for doing some artwork, shading the garage that might be attached, and there's just a lot of different things. But workforce is the first, or workforce / affordable is the first FAR to get those bonuses, and that's where you're seeing a lot of these folks do to get that higher, building more units on what is already their investment in the lot.
Mm-hmm. So as far as like the different projects that I've seen proposed, like stpeterising.com, they do such a great job of like blasting out different proposals that come up. Mm-hmm. I think I see most of them are trending towards mixed use that have that affordable or workforce housing element to them. So it seems to be a mixture of residential plus the workforce plus maybe public parking and or office or retail on the bottom. Is that an initiative that the chamber is really pushing for, or the city's pushing for right now?
Yeah, so the city kind of started pushing for that about 2017. They were trying to make like the central corridor and some of the side streets be more walkable. And you don't want to necessarily have like 3 blocks of just apartment ground floor that normally is a leasing office and like a gym, and that's it, because that can kill that block. You don't want to walk that far to get to the next spot. you rather, drive or scoot or whatever. So they're trying to create walkability. The nice thing about that is that you then have the ability to do that ground floor retail. And depending on some of these development companies, they love the ground floor retail aspect or they don't like it. It's really kind of a mix. Some of them have a lot of success, bringing in these small shops or restaurants that sit on their ground floor and they build the apartments or condos above. You'll see that with Red Apple Group on the 400 block of Central once that building starts going. You see it on the redevelopment of the police station. That's gonna they're gonna go to demo, I believe, by the end of the year. So that's gonna be an 18-month build. So hopefully in 2023, those units will come online. That's going to be a good amount of affordable units. I want to say, when I say good amount, everything helps. So I think it's 20 or 25 units. They're going to be quote unquote affordable there, as well as condos for sale, and as well as office and ground floor retail, cafe, etc. So you're going to see that more and more in the downtown, and even creeping out into the neighborhoods where you have some ability to do like small multifamily. There's definitely a push to have like very walkable neighborhoods where you can have a little convenience store within walking distance, have a dry cleaner, have those things that you don't only have to go drive to, be able to walk, or a short bike ride, or scoot up there or what have you, instead of having to go to our bigger complexes on the major streets.
Yeah, I mean, I I think I see so much in the positive way, making progress in that direction. If you think about five years from now, how do you think that landscape will change, to to the betterment of, affordability for housing in our area?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You just kind of have to see what happens. Obviously elections have consequences, and what is the political will for some of our leaders to have that might upset some people in the neighborhoods. Are we okay building duplexes, triplexes, quads in, say, Shore Acres or Allendale? Maybe those neighborhoods really don't want that. And how much political will is there to go push for these things? It's the NIMBY, not in my backyard mentality. Hey, yeah, I want that in that neighborhood, but not in mine. But if everyone says that, nothing ever gets done. So the chamber has been very supportive of the YIMBY, yes, in my backyard movement that started to try and open up some of this zoning to allow more small multifamily that fit in the neighborhood really well. There's some great products out there that have just started popping up that a duplex that looks exactly like a single family home but can house two families underneath one roof. Those types of things are coming, but whether it's to a neighborhood near you or not, we'll probably not know until spring or early summer next year.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the biggest, depending on how they move forward with that, where they are going to allow that type of density increases. That's going to inform what the future, what 5 years looks like, as far as what our neighborhoods look like, what the housing stock looks like. Even our downtown. The more people that are moving here, more people that are coming to work downtown, play downtown. We got transportation issues, parking issues, but these are all great issues to have because they are a product of growth.
Yeah.
Ocala doesn't have this issue.
Yeah.
Lake County don't have these issues. Great places to live, but you can always find a parking space. I mean, it's definitely not like downtown St. Pete on a Friday night.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we pay for where we live. We have amazing things to do. I mean, in everything in drivable, easy to drive to get out in the whole Tampa Bay area. So you're gonna pay to live somewhere where there's a lot of awesome things to do. So it's kind of, part of it, goes with the progress, like you're saying. So So if I remember correctly, is it your dad that has a development company with, or is working with some of this type of development?
Yeah, so there's a organization called Chaff, Contemporary Housing Alternatives of Florida. Been around for about 30 years. My dad took over running it kind of as his, last career
Mhm.
before fully retiring. But he loves development, and this was just a great opportunity to do some really good work. So they haven't expanded in quite some time. My dad's kind of reinvigorated their expansions, and right now they're 3 units that are just about to go online. This is that stock I was talking about that it looks like a single family home. Um, but on the front side, you enter in and it's a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, kind of shotgun style living situation. But then you go on the back side and there's another entrance that goes into a whole nother unit that's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, shotgun style to the front. And so from the street, it looks like a single family home. From the back, there's just a couple parking spaces, still one door that's out the back, but it can house 2 families. And the rents, because of how they were able to do it, and be able to keep it 120 AMI and work with the city to buy a distressed lot. Rents are under, I want to say, $1,100 for the 2-1, and
Wow.
$700 for the 1-1. So that's seriously affordable for most
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, the fact that it blends in with the neighborhood perfectly, what's to complain about it really?
Exactly. Exactly. So, but there's other folks doing really cool things out there. The skinny homes that are available in like Nashville. That's a push to come here. We just have stronger zoning about splitting up lots. We
Hmm.
have minimum lot sizes, so that's going to be a little bit more of a political fight, and just you know mentality of, hey, let's try this. Let's not just go, let's not change everything all at once, which I understand. And, it's going to take a lot of these little things. It's a whole toolbox. There's not going to be one magic tool that is going to instantly create, I think it's 30,000 units that we are going to need in by 2050.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot that we are going to need that are moving here. And um, we also have, the coastal high hazard area. I mean, there is something to be said that if a storm were to hit here, are people able to evacuate? Are people able to get back in their homes quickly? Are we building, homes and apartment complexes so that, um, hey, yeah, you got to leave because it's bad, but you get back and it's something that is able to withstand the storm. They're not going to, not be able to get back into their units, especially if they're, above the first floor.
Hmm.
So that does limit some of our building capabilities, especially in the Shore Acres, Snell Isle area, and Old Southeast, etc.
Yeah. So what are some projects that are currently going on that I don't know if you happen to, have any more information about them, or, I live in Pinellas Point, South St. Pete. So, I hear about, okay, the Coquina Key Plaza, and there's some land near Lake Maggiore that was bought specifically for that type of development.
Mhm.
Skyway Loft, which is down the street from me as well. And then what you talk about, the old police station site, is there any of those projects that you have any insight that you'd like to share on?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of chatter out there. I've not seen site plans on the Coquina Key. I know Stoneweg bought that, a great company based here in St. Pete International, that works in affordable housing, and that's going to be really cool once they figure out exactly what they're going to do there, and they're ready to go to permitting and whatnot. I'd say that the project that's probably furthest along, that's most imminent, is going to be the former police station, which is going to be called Orange Belt Station. Um, That's going to be, like I said earlier, it's a mixed use office, residential, retail. Going to be a really cool plaza, obviously right across from where Ferg's is right now, near Green Bench and all that. So, that's probably going to be coming online in the next, probably 20 months. I think you'll also see some more information coming out about what could be happening down in the Salt Creek area near Harborage, where the industrial marine area is.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's definitely some plans to do some stuff there, and then there's also Tropicana Field. I mean, I think it's clear that we're not going to have a decision on what's going to happen with the Rays and all that, but that 86 acres is going to be developed. Will it have a baseball stadium or not? We'll hopefully find out in the next couple of months. But the next mayor is going to have a lot to say about what we want there. There's some great proposals that came in. Obviously, kind of with the Rays, those got kind of put on the back burner. But those are great possibilities. Or you could also go out to an RFP again. Once we know what happens with the Rays, hey, we want a builder that has stadium experience. So, only apply if you have stadium experience, or, hey, we don't need a builder with stadium experience because the Rays aren't going to stay. So, what do we do there? I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest thing that happens in the next, 3-4 years when it comes to development. And obviously there's going to be a ton of housing there at all levels. So yeah, I think that those are some big things. And then there's, also go look out Carillon. I mean, there's new apartments that have been built out there that are just as expensive as downtown St. Pete. They got beautiful views. You've got grocery store right there. You've got entertainment right there. Tampa's just across the bridge for airport access. Obviously, Raymond James and all QC and all those out there. So we really have lucky to have kind of two employment centers that there is a demand for housing as well. It'd be interesting to see what happens with the Raymond Jameses and Tech Data's up there, just outside the city limits in Clearwater, as people aren't returning to office in those sectors. They're still continuing to work from home. There's a lot of office space. There's a lot of land that you can't expect to just sit empty for years.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we'll definitely see some change in that world in the commercial space. Because there's, I think people are going to be surprised, and maybe they already are, because we're seeing some of that policy shift. But I think people will be surprised how much we do move into that remote work or flex work, where they're only required to be in the office a couple days a week, which means, yeah, you still need less office space than when you did before. So that's really interesting dynamic.
Absolutely. And, on, take it one step further or 7 steps further, people that have worked from home, that have home offices, that they have a separate room and they are able to, take tax advantages of having a home office and splitting their electrical cost and, internet and things like that. Well, if you're working for a company, you're getting a W-2, those advantages don't really exist, but you're still incurring costs.
Mm-hmm.
If you're working from home, you're not cranking your AC up to 78, 80 degrees all day long in the summer. It's still sitting there, 70, 75, whatever's comfortable for you. But there's an increased cost to you being home that's personal. There's obviously the internet. There's obviously, other things that you might need for a home office that you didn't need prior to. And, are employers providing that for their employees? Some are, but some aren't. They're just saying, hey, you can come into the office, but if you want to work from home, that's on you. And so, how you're able to treat those when it comes to taxes and things like that. Obviously, government's always going to be 10 steps, behind and slow. But, I think you're going to see a very big shift in how we treat working from home in the future. Right? It's not necessarily going to be for the few and, self-employed people, but also the regular W-2 workers that work from home. And obviously there's a whole slew of employment law issues and things like that go with it that we're gonna have to play catch up on.
Well, Matt, this has been an awesome conversation, and hopefully we enlighten some people on the issues that are facing our city and like some ways for people to get involved. So, if someone did want to get more involved or have more questions, maybe you could share ways for someone to get in touch with you or best ways for them to do that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the St. Pete Chamber is obviously a amazing organization. I work here, so I'm a little bit biased, but
I agree.
we've got over 1,300 members. We are just rocking and rolling. So it's at stpete.com. That's the best way to find more information about the chamber. Also can find out some information about the St. Pete Young Professionals. Brittany is running for us this year. It's just a great, 21 to 40. We don't check IDs, but great way to get involved in the city and with some folks of that age demographic. You can always contact me. My email address is mlettelleir@stpete.com. So my first initial, my last name, mlettelleir @stpete.com. Feel free to reach out to me there. Also mlettelleir on that @mletteller for Twitter. Same thing, Facebook, etc. Always looking to connect with people. Or come by the chamber office, 102nd Avenue North. We've got the St. Pete store, visitor center. It's open, Monday through Saturday. It's a great way to get some gifts that are made by local artists, but also, figure out if you got some friends or family coming to town. They've got all the touristy things and museum guides and restaurant menus and things like that. So it's a great resource for our city. But otherwise, happy to come back anytime, talk to you if there's other questions or your folks have questions for me. I'd love to always share what little I know, and it's nice to be able to share what's going on in St. Pete with folks.
Yeah, well, thank you again. This awesome conversation. And I'll definitely share your contact info in the show notes for this so people can reach out and get more involved. We live in an amazing city, so it's important to stay involved and know what's going on. So
absolutely. Thank you for all you do, Brittany.
Thank you.